presented with the I got to read this. Now presented with the forensic architecture findings, police, God, I can't get it out. Seashells at the seashore.
Bada bing, bada boom. Social Informed Media.
This story comes to us from RollingStone.com. Papa was a rolling stone. Everywhere he went, he called his home. Yeah, I'll stick to my day job. But can the police department commit war crimes and human rights abuses? Can they? Well, a British research group that typically investigates war crimes and human rights abuses has turned its spotlight on the Portland law enforcement, releasing a damning report on the use of chemicals against demonstrators by the Portland Police Bureau during the 2020 George Floyd protest. Now, the international investigation is yet another black eye for the Portland, Oregon Police Bureau that has become synonymous with brutality, in particularly against, they call, dirty hippies, which has been the subject of federal supervision for more than a decade. Now, the investigative findings released by Forensic Architecture say on the night of June 2nd, 2020, infamous to locals as Tear Gas Tuesday, Portland police fired nearly 150 tear gas munitions across a tight area of downtown. The CS gas that was deployed resulted in protesters being exposed to concentrations far higher than those deemed immediately dangerous to life and health by a federal agency. In some instances, that safety threshold may have been exceeded by 2,200 times. Did you hear that? Far higher than deemed immediately dangerous. So that point at which CS is dangerous, it went above that. It went beyond that. Not just, it was dangerous hours ago. Now it's deadly. Clouds of chemical compounds spread half a mile, hanging in the air between downtown buildings for hours that night, with settling and runoff more than 4 pounds of the caustic compound polluting the nearby Willamette River. That's in Oregon. Based on the University of London, Forensic Architecture is renowned for high-tech investigation techniques that combine open-source video evidence and computer modeling to reconstruct frontline horrors in places like Syria and Mariupol, Ukraine. Chemical agents like CS or tear gas are banned in warfare by the Geneva Convention. Did you know that? The Geneva Convention has banned the use of tear gas, like mustard gas and so forth. But they're still permitted and frequently deployed as crowd control agents in American policing. Did you hear that? The Geneva Convention has banned chemical agents like CS or tear gas in warfare. But in American policing, they still are allowed to use it as a crowd control. It's banned by the Geneva Convention, but American cops, we can use it in America. Our police need it. Why? Forensic Architecture. Now, I've been to CS gas chambers before. When I was in the U.S. Army, you had to go to get qualified. I don't remember if it was every 6 months or once a year. I think I just went once a year. But you go in there, you have your mask on, they pop it, it's all smoky, and you have the option of taking your mask off, which I did every time. Probably shouldn't have. Maybe that's why I cough so much right now. Maybe I have damaged lungs. Because I would take my mask off and go, I could do it, see? And then, okay, you can step out, thank you. I'd go out and just cough and watery eyes and cough for 10 minutes and my eyes watery and, spitting, slobber coming down my face. But that's what it does to you. It just totally incapacitates you. Forensic Architecture trained its focus on Portland after the Oregon City gained infamy as an epicenter of police violence directed at anti-police violence demonstrators, as well as against journalists covering the protests. Even journalists were getting targeted. Protests roiled Portland for more than 100 consecutive days in the summer of 2020. Remember that? Even after like everything had settled down, Portland was still having police and lines. Now it was exacerbated by the Trump administration's incursion of irregular federal forces. And it goes on a little bit more. They talk about how they did this study and how they came up to this. Now, forensic architecture's findings add to those of a federal judge. Portland Police Bureau's use of tear gas inspired a federal class action lawsuit brought by the local civil rights organization Don't Shoot Portland, as well as changes to state law. In mid-June, Judge Robert Hernandez placed a temporary restraining order on Portland Police Bureau, citing evidence that tear gas was used indiscriminately. He put a temporary restraining order on them. And he said the officers fired canisters of tear gas at protesters without warning or provocation, that crowds were surrounded by tear gas without available avenues of escape, and that protesters were confronted with tear gas while trying to follow police orders and leave. They were trying to leave, and the cops are still shooting tear gas at them. Like, get out of here. Hey, get that one in the blue. Now, on the day after Tear Gas Tuesday, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, I've heard marvelous things about him. He also serves as the police commissioner, publicly praised his cops for doing everything they can within their power to respect and protect peaceful demonstrators. A few days later, he directed cops to only use tear gas only when confronting a serious and immediate threat to life safety. Not long after getting gassed himself during the federal incursion into Portland, Wheeler issued a broader directive to police to block the use of CS gas for crowd control. So the day after Tear Gas Tuesday, the mayor goes, "They did a great job. My cops, I'm proud of them." Then a few days later, because he's catching crap for it, he goes, "Okay, let's not use it unless there's an immediate threat." Then he gets tear gassed and goes, "You know what, let's not use it at all." Yeah, it's called the what is it? School of Hard Knocks. Now presented with I can't read this. Now presented with the forensic architecture findings, I'm trying to read this. Portland Police Bureau said in a statement, yeah, baby buggy bumper, "We can't provide comments due to pending litigation. We have not yet seen the report, but look forward to reviewing it." That's the mayor, of course, Ted Wheeler. And he says these unprecedented events characterize one of the most difficult chapters in our city's history. And I believe we have taken what we learned to move Portland forward in many positive ways. Sure, Mayor. Is it election time in Oregon? But every time I do a story about Portland, Oregon, too, I get a lot of people from that area in Oregon that say, yeah, Portland's just a shithole. I don't know. But again, the moral of the story here is you have an international human rights organization who investigates war crimes investigating the Portland Police Bureau in America.